Now, our affiliates are all accredited by the Better Business Bureau and members of the National Association of
30 seconds till we air.
Overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now. Call 800-329-207.
Streaming at 860amtheanswer.com, our free mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and the Odyssey app. This is 860 AM, The Answer. This is 860 AM, The Answer.
Sponsored by The Way to My Heart Incorporated.
Welcome to the Heart of Innovation. 60 minutes that could save life and limb with new breakthrough ideas and innovation changing the healthcare landscape. Brought to you by patient advocacy group thewaytomyheart.org in partnership with Abbott. Here are your hosts for the Heart of Innovation, Emmy Award-winning journalist and founder of The Way to My Heart, Kim McNicholas, and interventional cardiologist and founder of the Save My Piggies Health Education Series, Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode, a Thanksgiving episode of the Heart of Innovation. I am live actually right now in the Innit kitchen in the southern area of the San Francisco Bay Area, joined by my guest, or our guest, Dr. John Phillips, is somewhere out in the field over in the Midwest, over in Ohio. But
I'm in Kentucky.
With Kevin Brown. I'm going to call him Chef Kevin Brown. He's the founder and CEO, or co-founder and CEO of Innit, which is a food innovation platform. And we're going to be cooking a healthier Thanksgiving Day feast because Dr. John, I don't know if you know, I was using Dr. Google today in a search to find out how many calories we consume on Thanksgiving Day, which is not necessarily artery healthy, right? Not good for your weight, not good for the inflammation in your body, all of the above. And it was saying that we consume anywhere between 3,000 and more than 6,000 calories on just this one day, 3 to 4 times what is typical or suggested for us to be eating. But here's the kicker. This is my favorite part, is that one cheat date a year, and you know, none of us cheat more than one day a year, but one cheat day a year of more than 3,000 calories to 6,000 calories, actually, unless you have allergies to the food, really won't make a difference or negatively impact your health. What do you think?
You know, I would tend to agree. What did you say about 3,000 to 6,000 calories? That's probably conceivable given the fact that a lot of times folks may be eating 2 meals. They're starting to eat a lot earlier. They might have, dessert that they wouldn't have normally. So, I mean, yes, enjoy it. A couple of cheat days aren't going to hurt you. Again, my theory is moderation, kind of the 90-20, 90-10 rule. 90% of the time, eat right, 10% maybe not so right. Life is short. You got to enjoy it, and you've got to eat good food. That's healthy too.
Yeah. And so what we decided, as we were trying to figure out, we want things that people are probably going to stick to, that little substitutions that people can make that won't change their family traditions. Maybe it'll create a new healthier tradition, but it shouldn't change, in a sense, the flavor of your favorite family recipe. Or it might even make it just a little bit better and you can create all new traditions. But we tried to make it simple and pick some of the most popular side dishes, in particular, like the green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, in particular, like the gravy, which is really, we're getting a little feedback there. Sorry about that. If we're on a Zoom link, so if everyone can,
we're live. We're live.
We are live. It's always live, and we have actually always a live studio audience that is here. And you can always email me, KYM, at thewaytomyheart.org if you ever want to join the live studio audience every single Saturday. But since we do have a live studio audience, every once in a while someone will unmute and we get to hear things that
or someone might order French fries through a drive-through.
That's actually happened.
That has happened. Yes.
Our
That's
good friend
awesome.
Douglas, he may make an appearance at some point.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
it
No, I'm
worked for
excited
me.
I'm excited to kick this show off. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Figuring out what you guys are doing and how you're making it healthy. I mean, you've got a knife, so I'm
I do.
assuming you know how
That's
to use that. So that's good. And Kevin is looks like he's really
You know
knows
what
his way around the kitchen. So I'm super stoked.
Just saying to Kevin that, wow, I'd enjoy cooking so much more if I had a knife like this. It's just sailing right through everything. And what were you saying at the end of
Is that
a
a
really
is that a shoon? That looks like a shoon knife. Those are sweet knives. Yeah.
It is.
So I know that he's itching to get started. We have things brewing behind us. I have things that are already chopped over here. So I think that we need to start off with a little moment of inspiration before we start cooking.
Dr. John Phillips, spectacular vascular moment of inspiration.
Again, never gets old. I was looking for a kind of a fun little Thanksgiving quote, and I found this one from Sam Lefkowitz. I don't know who Sam is, but I like it. When asked if my cup is half full or half empty, my only response is that I am thankful I have a cup. And I think it's important that we do not forget to be thankful for all that we have, big and small, on this day. Well, this Thursday.
It's interesting, and maybe this might be something to Dr. Google as we're talking, but when you are in a state of mind of gratefulness or thankfulness, it actually attracts more things to be grateful for and be thankful for, because you can't help but feel good in that moment where you are thankful for something. And so one of the things that is a tradition in my family is we always, as we're celebrating our feast, is we always go around the table, and no matter how, poorly we're feeling, or what's going on in our lives, the stress, anxiety, whatever it might be, for those few moments that we're sitting there, having that moment of thankfulness or gratefulness is really powerful. So I'm curious for you, Dr. John, what are you most thankful for?
Oh, that's a good question. We do the same thing at our house. We go around the table. I guess I'm just thankful that, well, my dad died, in May. And so that was something that, you're not really thankful for, but in retrospect, it was kind of the best thing. It was the best thing that could have happened in that situation. And I'm thankful that he's not suffering anymore. I'll say that. So, but, and I'm also thankful that there's positives that have come of it, because now my mom's moving to Ohio and some other family members are as well. Yeah. So, I mean, the world, again, you get lemons, you make lemonade, and you just kind of take it one day at a time. You stack days together, you get a week, you get a month, you get a year. And so I'm just thankful. I've had one more trip around the sun. So what are you thankful
Exactly.
for?
And we're thankful for you. I mean, we were on the phone this week a couple of times, and you were in the middle of saving the piggies and I'm sure your dad's just looking down, so proud of you. Just being able to save life and limb for so many people and having an impact.
Well, likewise. And, again, I'm thankful for you, Kim, and what you do. It's amazing the reach that you have. And the fact, I think you had mentioned to me that there are doctors that are coming to you asking to be a part of the group, as opposed to you, seeking physicians out now. So it just speaks to what you're able to do and the network that you have created and the patients that you're helping, and then the patients that are helping other patients too. So that's the beauty of it. So my hope is that when we do this next year, I'll be cooking, and we'll have a huge audience, that even bigger than we have now. So keep up the good work.
Before we go to break, what would you be cooking? What would be the go-to dish for you to be cooking next year?
I'm a traditionalist. I do turkey, and we'll get a fresh turkey. I actually ice the breast down to kind of help with the cooking time, and because I think turkey, when cooked well, can be fantastic, but it's a thin margin of error there because it gets pretty dry and then no one likes it. So I'm a traditionalist.
Hey everyone, you are listening to The Heart of Innovation with Dr. John Phillips and Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNichols. Stay tuned for more when we return from our commercial break.
That was really fun. Okay, we're
Leg
ready to
health can
start
indicate
cooking.
risk for heart attack, stroke, and amputation.
Everyone's clear on
If
that
you have
side.
leg pain or cramps while walking.
Oh, excited. Drum roll. I'm gonna let
I'm gonna sit back and listen to you guys talk about what you're making. This is gonna be fun.
this is great because he just tells me what to do. So this is awesome. Plus I learned something new. Well, a lot of things new every single time.
Well, but Kim, you can pull in your your journalism background, your interviewing background. I mean, this is like, you're doing a little Today Show kind of cooking thing. So have at it.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. As long as I don't hear anything crazy like Hell's Kitchen, I'm ready to go, because sometimes that stress be getting to you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But we might have just be wary. We might bring in Colin to kind of bring down the levels of the blender. But you know what? Sound effects are good. Sizzling is good. Blender maybe needs to be toned down just a little bit.
Copy that. Also, just let everyone know right now we have about 50 seconds till we come back on air.
So where are we starting? So I'm going to introduce you and
so we can just talk through the three dishes that we're working on, and then we can say, hey, part of the fun is just pulling it all together and chopping and just being together and teamwork. And then we're going to talk about the three. Then I'll discuss some of the things that are sauteing, and we'll bring the
30 seconds till we air.
I can bring it over so people can see.
Perfect. Yay.
Hey, good luck, guys. It's gonna be awesome. I'll just throw in a little color here and there. Feel free to ignore me when I make a silly comment, as usual.
Oh, we love your silly comments.
Remember that? So that was hilarious when we were recording earlier.
Hate to cut you off, Dr. John. We got a little less than 5 seconds now.
Okay, I'm done.
Save that thought for next break.
For relief.
I wanna hear
To
what's
find
funny.
out more about this offer, feel the
I have
difference.
to kick
This
things
is
off and then
8:60
share the
a.m.
funny.
The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNichols and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I am in the Innit Kitchen. Innit is a food innovation platform, and the founder, co-founder, and CEO is Kevin Brown. And I also call him Chef Kevin because how we met was really, he invited me to his house. They had a big investor dinner, and I did a story on him and his passion for cooking when he was running a storage company. Boring. Now he's turned his passion into his profession with his new food innovation platform, and he's just a genius in the kitchen. So he's going to help us make our Thanksgiving meal healthier.
Well, great to be here with you as always. And hi, everyone. So we're going to be working on just a couple of the side dishes that are really important to tradition. They just bring all the feelings back. Everyone rallies around them, but finding ways to just continue to advance them and in this case make them a little bit healthier. And these same ideas can then come into your everyday cooking for the kind of substitutions or different ingredients that can really taste great. And sort of you can blend them with maybe what you used to do, and it just gets a little bit better each time.
Love it. So what are we cooking today? I think I mentioned a little bit in the beginning, but let's go through it.
So we're going to make a couple of real classics. So we're going to make mashed potatoes, but we're going to do a dairy-free version. And
Yeah, I'm anaphylactic to dairy as of this past year, so I need some new tricks in my tool chest.
So the trick is, usually there's a whole boatload of butter in there, which it has its charms. But what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be using onion and vegetable stock and thyme, and then blending those in with the potatoes. So we're going to bring in the same kind of mouthfeel, the same kind of luxuriousness. But it's going to actually even have a little bit of that beautiful onion. We may throw a little garlic in there too, just to make sure we got all the flavor. But it's going to be a little bit lighter on its feet.
Okay.
So we're going to do another classic. We got the green bean casserole.
Oh, the famous green bean casserole.
So we're going to do that in a little bit healthier way. We're going to be using some different thickeners, nutritional yeast. So a couple of little tricks to help with that. And then you had found a recipe for a vegetarian gravy.
Yeah, so I can't use any sort of flour. And I know a lot of people who have heart issues have what's called the MTHFR mutation, which makes it really difficult for your body to turn food into fuel, basically. So, you just want to get rid of anything processed, gluten, that kind of thing. And so I can't have flour in any of my sauces. And I love my turkey gravy, love it. And so we're going to show you a little trick so you don't need to use flour to thicken your gravy. And we also have just the basic gravy that you can do. And then I have an alternate in case you want a little umami flavor this holiday season. So stay tuned for that.
Great. Well, so
wait, sorry guys. What's mommy flavor?
Umami. How would you describe
umami?
Except for
I thought you said
umami.
mommy.
Yeah, I believe this is from the Japanese culture, and it's sort of a flavor component that's about the mouthfeel and the richness.
Mhm.
And so it's that difference when something just has that extra little bit of yumminess, and you're not sure if it's sweet or sour or something.
Yeah.
It's that, and so often it's a really easy thing to be able to add just a couple little bits that just elevate the dish.
Yep. So
they say mushrooms and truffles have umami.
And welcome,
It's
Marcia.
like if you have senses. Yes, I love you. Not, I can never say it, but
No, but
it's
we have-
not sweet.
We're going live again, actually, to Ohio. So we're doing a little remote cooking with one of our fellow, what should we call, sous chef, amateur chef, home chef? What should we call you, Marcia?
Enthusiast, food lover.
Food lover. And you have literally had to change your diet, right? With some
Mhm.
artery issues, and you found a new passion for cooking healthier. And so you're going to share, what are you sharing today for your Thanksgiving?
Well, I think I'm going to make some farro, but I'm also, for today, I'm making fish. And it's so easy. I can show you guys. I mean, it's not traditional Thanksgiving, but I'm having it on Saturday. And I'm also making sauteed vegetables. So
I love it.
grain. Farro is a grain. It's an ancient grain, and it's good for you. So this is just the package. So this is
And
a
if you
Kroger.
actually use, Chef Google, you can go on and you can find all kinds of farro stuffing recipes. You can add butternut squash, you can add cranberries, you can have all kinds of things. What are you adding in there, Marcia?
I did get a little cranberries. Usually I just do it plain with garlic salt and maybe thyme, lemon juice, but I got a little bit of the things that you kind of suggested as well.
Okay, and you can actually take that and stuff it in a turkey, right?
Absolutely. It'll take on the flavor the same as traditional stuffing, and that's another great way. But just make sure when you are stuffing a turkey that you are being very careful about the temperature, because sometimes if you're not getting the inside cooked, then you definitely need to cook it more.
Definitely.
So that's just a little tip when you're doing that. You can use a thermometer and just make sure that the temperatures there reach the 165 kind of safe
level.
Yeah.
Great. Marcia, we're going to check back in with you. I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to get us started over here with what we're doing. We're cooking what first? The mashed potatoes?
Yeah, so we've got a couple things in parallel
Okay.
because things take different amounts of time. So what we've started, we've been roasting some onions and thyme with a little bit of garlic oil.
Oh, wow.
And so we're roasting those in the oven, and then we're gonna be blending them to create this really rich, flavorful complement to our potatoes.
Oh,
So
I love that.
so we've already boiled our potatoes here. So I wanted to get a couple of things going. So we've got some really just delicious russet potatoes. Boiled those for about 12 minutes. And so what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up blending those with our hand blender, and we're going to use our standing blender to bring together that kind of the butter substitute.
Okay.
Then we're going to bring it all together and with a little bit of olive oil on top. So that's going to be pretty fun once our onions are done.
Okay. And what's next? Oh, I can smell, there's nothing like smelling those russet potatoes, and we got the organic russet potatoes, for this. And what do you got here?
So here we've been for our green beans, the way that we're going to do it is we're going to start it in the pan actually, and then it's going to go into our dish that goes into the oven. And so what we're doing here is we're starting to unlock the flavor from some mushrooms, from some garlic.
Okay.
And then we'll bring the green beans in here. And this is where we bring some of our other ingredients like, xanthan gum, some of the other, secret tricks. And then we're going to be using almond milk today. So it's also a dairy-free recipe. And then we'll be finishing that in the oven.
Make sure when you do get your almond milk or whatever nut milk, always check the back of the ingredients and make sure that you don't have a bunch of sugar cane in there as well, any sweeteners. You really want to make sure no matter what, sugars can be hidden. Sugars have a variety of different names to them as well. And so, right,
we've seen, so my company does a lot of personalized nutrition, even for health, reasons. We work with, Roche for diabetes patients. So it's pretty tricky because, for example, they'll use different words like evaporated cane juice.
Oh gosh.
Right.
Or dextrose that's another one.
There's many different ways that things sneak in.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other thing that's tricky is if people are dealing with allergies. So one example is if you have a corn allergy,
Mm-hmm.
there's over 300 different chemical names that mean corn.
Oh my gosh.
So if you don't have a PhD in chemistry,
no idea.
it's hard to look and see what's in it. So that's the name of our company, In It. So we want to unlock that information, help people, automatically shop, find the right things, and just nudge a little bit healthier.
I was really frustrated.
everyone. As we continue on with this, I want to let you know you're listening to The Heart of Innovation with Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNichols and special guest Kevin Brown, co-founder and CEO of In It. We will be back right after these commercial breaks.
3 years ago, my symptoms started.
Everybody's clear on outside.
And leg
That was beautiful. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Good work, Colin. Good work.
Yeah.
So for something
I
that's
felt bad with the Scottish bagpipes. I didn't think they would be that loud.
They were great. So so diabetes and mashed potatoes is the question that's coming in.
Yeah, my brother has diabetes, and they use cauliflower instead of.
Yes. So that's a great suggestion. Cauliflower, we've also done that, and you can also turn cauliflower into rice. So you finally chop it and you can stir fry it, and it serves the same function. So you can bring things that have a lower glycemic index, just less sugar. Also things like sweet potatoes, yams, some of those, can be done, and those are a little bit healthier, a little bit more fiber. So there's a few different options.
And even, so I didn't perfect this, but I heard you could use parsnips.
Yes,
Wow.
parsnips are delicious. Most people don't know how to cook them.
No.
So one of the folks that's been on our team is the president of the French Culinary Academy.
Wow.
And we would be sitting in the test kitchen, and he would make parsnips. So we just thin slice them and just cook them in a little bit of oil or butter, just low and slow. And a little bit of salt and pepper, and they came out and they were just delicious. It's a kind of a cross between a carrot and a potato. It's a really good food.
And you can actually, so you can puree carrots too. So just thinking of other ways in which you can have some sort of diabetic friendly alternative to potatoes, because yes, with potatoes it's more of a starch. Do you consider it a carb as well?
So potatoes are healthy. They're not processed foods that basically all the health has been taken out of them. There are some healthy components, but you do have to watch because they will convert into sugar faster in your system. So that's the part of that diet that's tricky, is that you have to personalize it. You have to pick what are the things that are important for you. And what
Right. Okay, so where are we starting off this next segment?
So what I think
before we go talk about that, just let everyone know we have about a minute till we come back on there.
Okay, because I need to saute a little bit more onion and
my show when it's convenient for you,
and mushroom for the
become a member
gravy.
of the ultimate online community for all things Prager.
And then at some point, I think it would be nice to hear from Kevin regarding how somebody could potentially use In It to create that perfect personalized Thanksgiving meal.
25% off the first
year. Yeah, we can. We actually have one of our recipes that is live on the internet and has step-by-step videos.
Make the Healthy by Nature.
Do you want to take us back, John, since we're taking over here?
I'm certified clinical nutritionist and best-selling author Marty Whittaker For more than 20 years, I've interviewed renowned.
I can't
health
hear you.
experts who
You're
tell
on
us
mute.
how to have
He muted
Yeah,
himself.
I'll take us back. I'll take us back. Yeah.
disease and be
Got you,
healthy.
everybody. We got about 10 seconds till we air.
Oh, visit our health library on healthybynatureshow.com.
So I think it went to break
Healthy by
saying that
Nature.
something that
Sundays
drives
at
me
noon
crazy.
on 860 AM. The Answer.
860 AM. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Today is our special Cook at Home Thanksgiving show. Kim and Chef Kevin are hard at work. So guys, what have you been up to? What are you making? And I wish I was there because it looks really good.
We got to get you over here. It's going to be amazing. It's all about togetherness. That's what I love about cooking. It's about creating something that brings people together. You might have had a stressful day, but if you can find just a good happy place, chopping some onions, getting some things ready, and teamwork makes it even more fun. So it's fun to be cooking here with Kim. So what we're working on is we've got 3 different components of a Thanksgiving meal that we're using a little bit different ingredients to make it healthier, but keep all of the same kind of feel and the flavors and what really makes the memories, brings people back. And so we're finding those ways to just make these dishes a little bit healthier. And these are tips and tricks that can come into your everyday cooking as well.
Perfect. So what do we have going on next?
Okay, so we've been sautéing our mushrooms and garlic, and so we're going to be bringing this together with our green beans. So the trick here is you always want to think about what flavors you're extracting. So in this case, heating the mushrooms and garlic in just a little bit of oil really unlocks the flavor. And then we're going to toss the green beans, get them started in the pan. And then we're going to bring in our dairy substitute. So as Kim mentioned, we're going for a dairy-free set of dishes. So we're going to be using almond milk.
Make sure it's unsweetened. We mentioned this before the break, but we want to make sure that that's unsweetened. Check the ingredients. That's really important.
And texture is one of the really important things with cooking, and it sort of sometimes it signals that this is a luxurious flavor. So something like butter has a certain feel, but we can achieve that in different ways. And so one of the fun tricks Kim cooks with this quite a bit is a xanthan gum. So that's a little bit of a thickener. So we're going to bring in our dairy substitute. We're going to thicken it up a little bit in the pan, reduce it just a bit, and then it's going to go into the oven to finish. So we're going to have a nice classic, green bean casserole that brings in some of these flavors.
That's the same thing when it comes to the gravy. So really simply, and I'll be making a little bit of the gravy and give you some additions to make it more vegetarian and fun and that umami flavor in a moment. But he was mentioning the xanthan gum, which is why I want to just go over the gravy really quick because it can be really simple. You just need turkey stock, which is really hard to find, but Kitchen Basics has one. It doesn't have any hidden ingredients or any other gluten or anything in it. It actually says it's gluten-free and no MSG added. I'm allergic to both of those, so that's key. And that's in a lot of these stocks and broths and things like that. So make sure you get more of a pure one. Add the xanthan gum, and it just takes a pinch, and you put it in the blender, and voila, you have turkey gravy. And then you can just flavor it as usual, adding a little Mrs. Dash, adding, a little bit of pepper, adding a little bit of garlic, whatever you desire to make it a little bit more flavorful. I think that's really key when it comes to the gravy.
Hey, Kim, is that kind of like creating a roux?
Yeah, there's definitely similarities there where we're using a different ingredient than the flour, for example, or the butter. But it's the same, how do you get that same flavor, sort of, and the umami, that sort of the feel to the food.
Yep. Okay, so are we going to start with the green bean casserole over here, or are we
Yeah,
going to
so
potatoes?
what I've just done is I just got the green beans in our pan with the garlic and the mushrooms, and then we're going to be bringing in the xanthan gum and a little bit of the almond milk once it heats up a bit, and so we're going to toss that, and it goes into the pan and into our oven.
Perfect. Should I go ahead and get that xanthan gum started with the
Absolutely
with the blender?
Absolutely.
So make sure cover your ears because we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit. Just go ahead and, you know what, we don't measure here. We literally just pour, so it's all about feel. I know it's not the best thing. With the xanthan gum, you don't want to pour. The milk, you can pour. The unsweetened, cashew milk here. We'll make it plenty. There we go. And then I just put, literally just a sprinkle of it, and I actually add a little bit of nutritional yeast, which I have over here, because nutritional yeast is a really great way to make things a little bit cheesier, dairy-free. It also gives it a little bit of that umami flavor. You don't want to use too much, and especially if you have any sort of, digestive issues, that's probably not the best thing to do. But I'm going to blend this really quick. Starts to thicken. I know you can't see it, but it starts to thicken in there. And we're just going to add a little bit more, just on how much, liquid you have in there. You can just add a little bit more. As I said, I just kind of sprinkle a little bit here and there.
Kim, you're really just kind of looking at the consistency and the viscosity of it to figure out how much more you need to add, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think that's really important, and everyone likes it different. So you just have to, especially your first time using it and trying this, you have to play with it and see what feels best for you, because for everyone, it's really different.
One quick rule of thumb, when you're baking, it's really pretty important to get the ratios right, because that's more of a chemistry exercise. But for many things, when you're in the kitchen, I get kind of stressed out trying to follow the letter of every single ingredient instruction. And so there's a lot of things that you can just kind of go by eye and try it out. And if it's not perfect, you can add some more, or you can dilute it with something else. So it's all sort of about that journey and having some fun and finding some things that really taste good.
Yep, exactly. And I know we need to go to break. We're going to blend this just a little bit more, and when we come back, I think this will be thickened. I'm going to leave it to my producer to sign us out just to break.
Hey everyone, I hope you've been enjoying this wonderful moment here on The Heart of Innovation with Kim McNichols and special guest Kevin Brown. We will be right back after this commercial break. Keep holding on to your stomachs, because they're going to show you a wonderful meal that is being prepared just for you.
Hi, I'm Kim McNichols with this
Everybody's
medical notepad brought to you by Abbott. This week, let's talk about selecting a doctor. Only because you like.
Is that going to be enough for all of us? Because I just got in the truck and headed your way.
Douglas, I give an exception. I'll make sure my portion is enough to feed you. All right.
All right.
Douglas, you'll be there by what? Wednesday?
Referred you to their golf buddy.
Wednesday morning.
It's not enough.
All right, good.
If they have
Drive safe.
Saving potential with your presentation of peripheral artery disease. Different doctors have different approaches, different tools, and different techniques. They also have different facility policies, which may include time limits for specific procedures versus others who may have
Just gonna blend this a little more.
spend more time on complex cases. Some doctors prefer conservative.
How is it that I cannot hear that
some
blender?
prefer minimally invasive procedures, while others perform only surgical solutions such as bypass, endarterectomy, and amputation, while some do it all. Some
Okay.
doctors may choose to
So
treat
I just want you
rather
guys to
than later.
see just how this pours, and
Sooner. There are some who will amputate without
look at it, it's
attempting
so
to
much
absorb
thicker.
blood flow clear to the toes. Some who won't even
Which is
treat below the
amazing.
knee. Some
Okay.
who won't even perform
So that's
vascular
done.
assessments,
That's
probably
ready to go.
at all. Some may even have
Actually, that wouldn't be
access
too bad if I make a little bit of the gravy in there really quick. Should I? Or
Yeah.
do you want to do your other thing first?
So how do you color it with the turkey?
So I'm also going to add, so this is just for my original turkey.
To treat your circulation issues related to diabetes,
Turkey gravy.
or peripheral artery disease. To
So that gives you the color.
to get customized
Color,
based
and
on
it's
your
it's
presentation of
actually
disease.
the real stock in there too.
Leg safe
I'm going to add a little xanthan gum,
320
and
7138.
and then you're going to flavor it. But I mean, this is just how easy it is.
71.
So yeah, does that have any flavor to it right now, or do you have to add flavoring?
Of the Way to My Heart. Remember, the advice and views offered in this series are for informational and educational purposes only. Make sure you always check with your own.
How far are we? I think we're okay.
Acting on any advice offered here. For more
You
information,
guys are good on that side. Right now, we should have about another 2 minutes before we have to go back on air.
It seeks a senior quality operations engineer in Newark, California to plan, coordinate, and
So Kim, I can take us back, but just to get me up to speed, we're working on the gravy, the green beans, and still have to. We've got the potatoes working too. It looks like
We do. It's all coming together.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me just do this really quick.
And Kevin, don't forget to share with the audience how they can use Init to and get on that, get the recipe and use your site to kind of help create that meal.
Again, Cephide seeks a senior.
I'm not gonna lie, this man has probably one of the best names for any place I've heard. Because in my head, all I'm screaming in the back is "In it to win it, in it to win it, in it to win it."
I love it. I love it.
Gravy.
Please send resumes to Melissa.
Oh man, this looks good.
See, look how, I mean, it's thick. Whoops.
Did you
Douglas, I
spill
did
some?
it again.
I'm sorry. I was just waiting for you to do that.
You were
I'm
totally
sorry.
waiting for me to do that. I did
I'm
it just for
sorry.
you. Did that just for you.
Oh, look at us. We're all coming together. This is a beautiful family moment. Now, Douglas, you and I cannot run around in the kitchen and try to steal little scraps here and there, even though I know we want to.
Do you want to check in with Marcia, John? See what she's
Sure.
doing, see where she's at, because
Do you want to do that coming back? Yeah, let's.
Ooh, guys, hold on. We got about 25 seconds.
Okay, Marsha, are you good to go?
I am.
To check in with you. Okay, good.
Yep.
Well, I'll bring it back, and then we'll touch base with Marsha coming right out of the break here.
Okay, perfect stop. We've got about 10 seconds till we come in.
Iowa, part of his fall drive at the state's leadoff caucus is now less than 2 months away.
Thank you.
More details at srnnews.com.
8:60 a.m. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Welcome back, everybody, and we are truly cooking with gas here. Kim and Chef Kevin have their sides working here, and before we get back to them and see where they're at, we're gonna reach out to Marsha. Marsha, what are you crafting for us there?
Well, right now I just sauteed some mushrooms, like the kitchen in California. I love mushrooms, and I was going to put those in my farro. Something I did want to say is if you use fresh mushrooms, you really don't want to rinse. That will absorb that water, and you want them to absorb whatever flavor you're really cooking with. It's best just to take a towel and just knock the dirt off. And so I'm actually making mushrooms twice because they're a powerhouse and they have protein. So I love mushrooms and they're not fattening. So that's what I've done. And the farro, I wanted to say, I'm using, I just spilled 1 cup of farro and just a little less than 2 cups of liquid. So usually use chicken stock, but I'm single and I'm cooking for 1 today. I don't want to open this, and waste it. So I just use water. My spices and my garlic and that will be good. So the first thing that you do with farro is you want to soak it, or maybe not soak it, but rinse it. And it'll release a lot of, I'm not really sure what it releases, but it looks like powder. I don't know what it is. So anyway, I rinsed mine and it's here in my colander. Now I'm going to start boiling my liquid. And I'm just going to cook it for about 20 minutes once it's boiling. That's it.
Fantastic. Looks wonderful.
That does look
Kim and
delicious.
Kevin, what do you
Marsha, that is
guys-
amazing. And
where are
we
you
are
guys at?
going to, we have some green beans. We talked earlier about, we sauteed the garlic, some onions and mushrooms and such. And now he's put the green beans in there, sauteed those as well. And now we're going to finish up prepping this green bean casserole that I think even the kids are going to love.
You know, this is a fun one because it's got a lot of the elements. It looks similar. It's going to feel similar as you're eating it. But now we've got the almond milk, the garlic, the mushrooms, all of that delicious flavor. And so we brought that together with a little bit of xanthan gum. So you can see it's sort of thickened up. You might be, mistaken that, hey, that could be cream or that could be butter. But we've got a really healthy version. And we're just going to move it straight into our casserole.
I've even added a little bit of nutritional yeast just to make it a little cheesier especially for kids. But don't use too much of it. Just a little bit goes a long way.
Kim, can you explain to us the nutritional yeast? Like, why does it give you that cheesy texture? What's exactly in that?
That's actually a good question for Chef Kevin. Because I'm not really sure what makes it. Nutritional yeast, I think, just on its own has a cheesier flavor. So that's hard to explain.
And part of it, a big part is texture. So people, think about what flavor components, but one of the big pieces is that texture. And one of the fun things is you can sometimes have a texture contrast where you have something that's really creamy, but then you have a crunchy component, like some roasted nuts or something that you throw on top, and it gives a little bit of a surprise, makes it more interesting to chow down.
Yeah. And what do you got here?
Okay, so we've finished sauteing, or actually baking our onions with thyme. And so we're going to be bringing these together in the blender. And we're going to be adding some vegetable stock. And then we're going to blend this together with our potatoes.
Oh my gosh. So this is going to be the alternative mashed potato. And this is going to have so much flavor. If you could just imagine the smells that we're smelling and then translating that into the taste, it is... Oh my gosh, and listen to that.
So that's the sound of flavor. So we got some beautiful chopped from my amazing co-chef. Yeah.
He taught me how to chop effectively.
Well, it's actually one of the things is safety. And so, I actually taught the knife safety class in Boy Scouts. So
really?
I believe in it. And so the rule is as you're cutting and you're putting force, always have it away from you. Always out away from your fingers. And if you're holding on to something, you can tuck your fingers in a little bit, kind of use your fingernails. And then if the knife, somehow slips over, it's getting you in the fingernail as opposed to on the skin. So those are always important. You don't want to have a little medical emergency in the middle of your party.
Yeah. I've even seen those on the Food Network though, too.
Oh,
so
they
even
make
to the
it put
best
on
of
gloves.
Okay, so we're gonna get the blender going with.
Yes, we are. So we've got our onions and a thyme mixture here. So we're going to bring this into our blender. And then, we're going to also be adding just a little bit of vegetable stock. So it's going to, come together with the combination to have a really nice consistency.
Vegetable stock or vegetable broth?
This will be a vegetable stock.
Vegetable stock.
And so this is unsalted. So, it's important to understand, if it's a salted one or an unsalted one, you're going to do something different for seasoning.
Yeah.
We'll season this a little bit with a little bit of salt, not too much, and some black pepper.
For those of you sensitive to salt, there are different flavors now of Mrs. Dash, and it just adds a whole bunch of different herbs and whatever that give you a little bit of that salty flavor.
Okay, cover your ears.
Here we go.
Amazingly, we can't hear that.
That's the turbo.
I love that.
So you can see even just on the side of the blender here, this beautiful it sticks to the side, just like your butter would in your mashed potatoes. It's going to really fill that kind of role.
Yeah, it looks really creamy, and I can only imagine the flavor of it because the smell is just so good. Okay.
So we've got another, not very expensive, but really handy kitchen tool we're going to be using, which is our hand mixer here. And so what we'll do is we'll be, mixing up our potatoes. So I boiled our potatoes, drained the water, and it's, ready to go, still in the pan. And so we're going to, blend the potatoes a little bit, and then we're going to bring in our mixture. And then that's going to give us that really rich, luxurious, mashed potato feel.
I love that.
Okay, so we'll get this going. So again, this is pretty easy. You just kind of press it down on what you're doing. Takes a minute or two, and you can really start to get a nice consistency. Some people like a little bit more rustic potatoes, where there's still some chunks left. Some people like the really whipped version, so you can even try different versions. We're also going to bring a little bit of garlic into this, just to give it a little bit more of that, sort of a little bit more interest.
So when you do that, do you put in garlic powder or do you put in minced garlic or?
Yeah. So usually I'll do sauteed garlic, but also another thing I've been buying is crushed garlic. There's a little tube, and it's really convenient. So if you don't have time to find all your garlic and break it down and chop it, you can just put a little squeeze in there.
That's a good tip.
And so I'll actually use some of that because I think it's a really, it's an easy way to get there quickly.
Oh, my.
It looks delicious, doesn't it? I mean, it's just amazing.
It sounds like it might be time for break or to eat.
Okay, so we're bringing in our onion, thyme, and vegetable stock, and so you can see it. It looks already pretty luxurious. Even before we've brought it together. I'm going to bring a little bit of our garlic in here.
I love that little cheatery. So you don't have to, I don't know if you've ever had to chop garlic, but there's an art to that.
Well, it's funny because, people, say, well, what kind of a cook are you? And my first question is, well, what day of the week is it? Right? Because on a Tuesday and you got soccer practice and all that, exactly. That's trickier. But if it's date night on a Friday night, maybe you're going to, do things a little differently. So these are all of the little things. Thanksgiving is a very, sort of a special day. So you'll probably be spending a little bit more time, but you got to pull off a lot of dishes. So, never be afraid to use some good shortcuts. If they don't have a lot of health baggage. A lot of times if you get something canned, you really have to look at how much salt is coming with it. So there's some of these kinds of things that you just want to be aware of. But for us,
and we are going to make sure you are aware of these as we come back from this commercial break. You're listening to The Heart of Innovation with Kim McNichols and Dr. John Phillips. We will be back. Stay tuned for more.
It's a trend that many find alarming. In a post-pandemic
recessionary
economy, homelessness.
So we got to wrap it up then pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah, we'll have 4 minutes in the last segment, but then we can just
say it's because
if we want to do an after, we can just continue an after show and I'll edit it
Yeah,
in.
you guys keep cooking.
But
what I'm going to do is I'm going to garnish this, and then we'll put a little of your sort of olive oil. You can mention that.
All right. It doesn't look like we have too much time for the mid break. We got about 30 more seconds. Then we're coming back in.
Dr. Phillips, none of my kitchen tools are that quiet.
Hurting families. Plus,
No, mine aren't either.
Should I just go ahead and pour it all in?
Yeah. That works.
All right, everybody. 10 seconds till we air.
The Bay Area Rescue Mission. BayAreaRescue.org. That's BayAreaRescue.org.
This is 860 AM. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNichols and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Happy Turkey Week, everybody. Our show is about to be over. They're still cooking. Guys, we're wrapping things up here. You guys ready with your specials here? Is the food almost
got a
done?
couple.
Can we eat?
We got a couple things to show you.
Yep.
So, you saw just how simple and straightforward it was. Here's our mashed potatoes, and with the non-dairy, and so we topped that with some parsley and a little bit of nice olive oil.
Really, I'll make sure it's cold pressed, extra virgin olive oil, early harvest is if you can. And I bet it's absolutely delicious. But I showed you the gravy a little early on. It was just some turkey stock, low sodium and gluten-free with a little bit of xanthan gum to thicken. And then I'm adding, just to make it a little bit more umami, and you can do this just with vegetable stock. So if you want to make it vegetarian, you can just do it with vegetable stock, but you can add some sauteed mushrooms, garlic, onion, thyme, and you can mix it in. It adds a little bit of extra texture and flavor to it. And then to the umami we talked about, adding a little bit of tamari in there as well. And then one more thing I put in it is I add just a little bit of vegetable stock. And then you stir and you have this delicious gravy. And as I said, if you want it to be vegetarian, just go ahead and use all vegetable stock in there. But it is absolutely delicious, and you don't miss the flour and the butter and everything else for your Thanksgiving meal.
Well, I brought you a spoon, Kim, so we can try some of the potatoes. You can maybe get a little on there.
Are we going to post any of these recipes on the web, or can folks find these, Kevin, at your app?
Yeah, we can post. I can share the URL and for our mashed potatoes, we actually have step-by-step video.
Yum! This is absolutely delicious. We need the green bean casserole, which we have done as well, and then we'll check in really quickly with Marcia before we head out. But
because we've got about a minute left. About a minute left.
If you have
awesome.
If you need a little crunchy, you can add some gluten-free breadcrumbs on top. You can add some, just a little bit more nutritional yeast and whatever, or some hemp seeds, and then stick it under the broiler, and it's a little crispy on top as well.
So we didn't have time for a turkey, but I did roast some really delicious chicken thighs here. So this is going to really turn into a very nice lunch with all of these healthy ingredients.
You guys did awesome.
You finishing up there? We have about 30 seconds. What do you got going on? Can we wrap it up? Can you show us anything finished? She is still cooking over there, so I bet she can't even hear us. So I think.
Sorry.
Oh, there she is.
Mine is not done. My farro is almost done. I'll put in mushrooms, garlic powder, onion, maybe some cranberries, walnuts. I did want to say that for kitchen safety, keep your knife sharp. The worst accident is a dull knife, because they slip and they will cut you. A sharp knife will go through what you're slicing.
Great tip.
That is a really great tip. So we're going to enjoy our Thanksgiving. We hope everyone enjoys their Thanksgiving as well. And Dr. John Phillips, I'm so sorry you're not here enjoying this with us.
No, save some for me. Can you guys send some over? Put it on dry ice. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Support and high touch advocacy in partnership with thewaytomyheart.org.
Everyone on that side, clear.
Our purpose is to reduce the 1.5 million heart attacks
Guys, I'm going to run.
and nearly 200,000
Fantastic
amputations annually. For more information regarding topics you've heard discussed on today's program, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org.
Some salt here, and then we'll do it on the top here, so you can get something.
Yeah, I really want the green bean casserole recipe. That looks so freaking good. I mean,
oh my gosh.
Oh man.
It smells so good. Welcome, Douglas. We're kicking off our One Step Away show here. We're gonna have you jump on in, lead the way, and I think we need to keep checking in with Marcia. If anyone else wants to jump in with their tips, tricks, ask questions, now is the time to do it.
This would be a good one for Kevin too. And Marcia's talked about this. Being single, it's hard to learn the proportion, and that's what I'm struggling with right now, is learning the proportion size. I'm either end up with way too much or I never have enough.
Yeah, one of the tricks, I cook for our family, and we got 4 people in the family and 4 very different diets. So there's always juggling and trying to figure it out. So what I'll think of is almost like components. Like if you go to Chipotle and they've got the different bins, and then they put it together into your meal that kind of is tailored to you. And so I'll cook, maybe the green beans separately, and then I'll combine them in with the turkey gravy for someone and the vegetarian gravy for someone else. And so and then if I have leftover green beans, I can then do them in a stir fry tomorrow with almonds and soy sauce. So I kind of think of the individual Lego building blocks, and sometimes you don't need to bring them together. You can actually kind of keep them separate, and then they're a little bit more versatile for leftovers.
Mm-hmm. just wanted to look. I'm always looking for to see if there's any
so the
vegetable stock. So there's no, thank goodness. Because it's interesting as I was looking when I was shopping, and one of the things earlier on in the show I was talking about looking at the labels, and I was really struggling yesterday and realizing that most of this turkey stock, there isn't that much turkey stock that's out there, but the ones that were out there, the turkey bone broth and stuff, actually had wheat flour in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I had no idea. And I was thinking, I was like, no wonder, but the ones actually in the, that are shelf stable, they don't seem to have the stock. It doesn't have any sort of, either the vegetable or the turkey have any flour in there. And I think that looking for those hidden flours is really key when it comes to
isn't that where it's different from what's on the front of the box to when you read the label?
Yeah.
Yep.
And what was awesome is that we're all looking for less expensive ways to have a healthy meal. And I was really happy to find that the Kitchen Basics was less expensive than any of the other turkey stock or chicken stocks that I could find in the supermarket, in the one supermarket I was in. So that was really amazing to me. And it has just turkey stock, chicken stock, vegetable stock, mushrooms, sea salt, honey, salt, more salt, pepper, sage, thyme. So that was really good. And it's a good, oh, look at him making this wonderful plate. Does that look delicious or what?
Oh man.
So good.
Now that is, is it healthy overall? Is it healthier? I would argue it is pretty healthy.
I'd say it's pretty healthy. So we've got sort of white meat. We've got the chicken here, and the way we're roasting it is that it's rendering some of that fat out.
Yeah.
But it still stays nice and juicy. So we've got the green beans and almond milk. That's all vegetable, mushrooms, and then we've got the potatoes. We didn't overdo it like with a giant mountain of potatoes, but just enough here that's going to blend. And if you've got some fats and other things, that's going to help you actually digest it in a healthier way.
Yeah.
So you want that mix of things together, and the fiber that kind of keeps it all kind of regulated. So we've got just a nice drizzle of our gravy here. So I'd have to say this is a pretty healthy meal, and we pulled it together in an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And one thing I do want to mention, you bring up a really good point when it comes to the fats. One of the arguments that I have heard over and over again is the reason that we have a huge diabetic epidemic now is because of the fat-free craze. And in replacing the fat, you end up with a lot more sugar. But also you do need, as you mentioned, that fat to aid in digestion of some of the other items.
That's right. And so it helps kind of slow down a little bit of the processing. This is where, there's some tried and true things that have been around for 1,000 years that actually, they were a good idea in the first place.
Yeah.
And so that's where, just finding some of these combinations. And so, it's very possible to have a very satisfying meal that feels, that you got the same satisfaction as something unhealthy. But really the more you're using, sort of fresh ingredients, as you get a little bit more, confident to go, do your own potatoes versus a package. Those are all ways that you can upgrade and make it healthy.
And if you do need, I know that what started the green bean casserole craze was the canned green beans. And it's not optimal. You can actually get low-cost green beans. I went to our local dollar store, and some local dollar stores actually have freezers filled with frozen vegetables. And you can get frozen green beans in some of those stores. So call around and see if your local dollar store has frozen green beans, frozen vegetables. Sometimes I've even seen frozen chicken in there as well. But also Walmart, most of their Walmart brand frozen vegetables, they're not more than $2 for an entire bag of them. So when you're talking about saving money, low cost meal, you can do a Thanksgiving dinner for less if you're smart.
And one tip is that there's some things that are frozen that tend to be unhealthier. They're very processed and so forth, like instant meals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But something like vegetables is actually sometimes it's even healthier.
Yeah.
Because they can pick the vegetables closer to their ripeness and then freeze them. And so it can be a little bit more nutritious and better quality. Frozen green beans is a great example.
I had we had on the show one time, a lady talked about the green bean, like the cans, is take them out of the cans and wash them real good. Takes a lot. I think Marcia's shaking. You said
So
that
much
one
so-
time.
And Douglas, when you talk about like having too much and cooking single, I always have fresh green beans cooked, usually. I mean, on Saturday, I prep a lot of things and I eat them instead of having a chip. Else, they're packed with flavor. This doesn't have salt. It doesn't have anything on it. It's just green bean, but it's good.
Okay, cool.
And what it does is it satisfies that hand to mouth. You know, sometimes we eat not because we're hungry, but because we just like to shove things in our mouth.
So if you're using the can, you can wash them real good.
Well,
And it
I guess
takes
you
that-
could, but why wouldn't you get frozen and just,
Right.
if you
Okay.
can?
That was one of the questions I saw.
Yeah, so I think that's a good tip, that sometimes it's they'll have salt and other things in the, you know, in the liquid. So if you can get it closer to just the green beans, then that's good.
That's really good. And the thing is that you're gonna end up coming back to us after you cook each of these. And you're gonna probably say, oh, I added this or added that. The key in the way that I like to cook, and I think that Kevin does as well, is being able to modify it for taste. That's why we don't really use recipes. Yes, with baking, as he said, that you do need to use recipes to make sure things are perfect for things to rise properly, for example. When it comes to general cooking like this with vegetables and mashed potatoes and things like that, you know, go with the flow. You know what you like. You know the flavors you like. You might need, for example, in the gravy, you might want more umami flavor and add more soy sauce or tamari sauce to it. For the green bean casserole, you might want to add a little bit more pepper, a little bit more garlic. You might want to blend it a little bit more to make it a little bit thicker. It really depends on your taste. Just trust yourself.
Where do you
Well,
get that?
There's a saying, don't let a perfect be the enemy of really good. So you know, just get in there and cook. What do you think?
Oh my God, this is so good. But you have to teach me how to cook that chicken like that, because
Absolutely.
that is, it's so moist inside. It has this thin layer of skin on top that has this perfect crisp. I mean, as much as I love Popeyes, I'm just going to say it right here and there. I can't have it anymore because I can't have buttermilk and I can't have gluten, but this is just as satisfying to me.
Yeah,
It's really delicious.
And you know, you can get a package, a 2-pound package of you know, chicken thighs for, you know, not that much money. And you know, and one of the techniques that we use is we actually put it into a cold oven. So you can preheat and bake your chicken, but you run more of the risk of drying it out. And so we'll put it in the top rack, and so it's getting the broil, but it's bringing it up more gently. And so then you can play around with you know, just the amount of time that you need for your particular portion size. But you know, that actually helps you know, get a really moist result.
Kevin, what about people who have convection ovens or those Instapots? What
Yeah,
do,
so
these are so good.
I
those are
haven't,
both
but
great
I
tools.
know how to use them.
Yeah, so they're both great tools. So a convection oven, you know, and so sometimes it's a combination microwave and convection. There's different, you know, setups. What convection is it's the fan that is moving the airflow. So it cooks a little bit faster. So versus just baking it. And the other thing it's doing is it's because it's moving more heat over, let's say, the skin of the chicken, it'll actually get it a little bit crispier. Same with vegetables. So I'm often using convection, both because it's a little bit faster, but also to get that texture, get that nice, little bit higher heat application to the outside of the food.
And
Because it's quicker, just make it moist or less drying.
Yeah, well, so in this case, you're almost it's a what we call air frying. So we're not dunking it into a vat of oil, but you've got a little bit of oil on the surface, and you're moving hot air across it pretty fast. And so you may have seen the air fryer products that, you know, that's what they basically have it's like a blow dryer in there, and it's just moving hot air really fast across the food to give it a little bit more of the crispness as if it were fried.
You can do the same thing with your Instapot too, right?
Totally. Well, an Instant Pot is an amazing. I've got one back here. So I use it for simple things like just making rice, and you just set it and forget it. And it comes out great every time, but it's a very versatile tool. So for example, you can use it to saute. So a lot of people, maybe their apartment doesn't have a great cooking unit or something, but an Instant Pot, all in one, you can saute the mushrooms and garlic and onions and things first, and then you can bring in the other meats, and then you can bring in the grains, and you put the top on, and it all then kind of comes together. And so you can just sort of sequence it in order, but then use the special capabilities of that pressure cooker.
Living single in a travel trailer, I don't have an oven.
Yeah,
So
it's a
15 minutes of preparation. Put everything in my Instapot. Hit a button. 45 minutes later, I'm eating, and it's so good.
Well done, chef.
And it's really good for leftovers from Thanksgiving to make like a turkey soup after you're done with everything. You can just load it into the Instapot, set it for probably, since things are cooked already, you just want things to set. So I would set it in there for maybe, 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. I would even say 5 minutes if it's already cooked. You're just trying to reheat and bring all the flavors together.
Yep. And that's what another pro tip that chefs use is they'll cook something to 80% and have it kind of ready, and then right when they need it, they can do a quick fire and just throw it in the pan for a minute, or throw it under the broiler for a couple of minutes. And now it looks like you cooked 6 dishes all at once, but actually you were able to kind of stage it and get it ready earlier and just finish it.
Another question, Kim, was talk about that gum and where you get it, and how it really is, how you really like it.
So it's called xanthan gum, and it's just like people would use flour to thicken a gravy or a sauce or something like that. It basically just fills the same function. So this is actually used by food manufacturers. As if they have a sauce or something like that, they'll use this as a thickener. So it's actually a very very easy to use. You use it similar to the way you would put some flour in.
Except you use a lot less, and you just don't need a lot of it. I don't understand, and this was my question. Is I just went out to dinner last night, and they had this truffle sauce over these little beef cubes, and the sauce had flour, and I don't understand if it's just habit by some of these chefs, or if it really does make a difference somehow to have flour versus xanthan gum.
I would say that you can get most of the way there without the flour.
Yeah.
Now it'll be slightly different because they're slightly different ingredients, but you can get to that 80-90% where it feels right.
Yeah.
It's just, this is that taste and that feeling that I love about this dish. And so if you then project out all of the everyday cooking that you're going to do, a few of those little changes can start to make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean,
is that the texture
sauce,
you're talking about, Kevin?
What's that?
Is that the texture like you're talking about? Can you tell can you taste the difference between the gum and like a flour?
There's enough other flavors that are going on, like in our gravy or in sort of some of the sauces that we made, that flour isn't the main flavor. Right. There's a little bit of flavor to it as you cook it. It's got a little bit of that fresh cooked bread sort of. There's a little bit of that flavor that is a part of that. But you've got enough other things that are going on that where the onions, the herbs, the garlic, there's the stock. There's many other ingredients that are kind of stepping forward on the stage to fill it in.
And you can also use arrowroot. Some people use arrowroot. I have found it to be more expensive because it's in a little jar. How I found it at my local supermarket versus with xanthan gum, I've actually had this for literally a year. I mean, and when I used to use flour, I used to go through tons and tons of flour, and you just don't have to use very much of this, but you need to experiment with it and use a little bit at a time and blend and see what works for you. And what's great is I actually, and you can even do this too, Douglas, is you can actually take, let's say, a big thing of vegetable stock, you can pour it into there, add your xanthan gum, and just then flavor it however you want, add your Mrs. Dash and whatever, but then you can freeze it in little jars. and you can always bring it out at different times. And so like I made this big thing of gravy, and I can put some in the freezer, and I can bring out, you know, leftover turkey slices at some point and add this as well for a future meal. And I don't have to double do it again. Like I don't have to recook everything. It's already
Right.
done. Just thaw it out.
Kevin, talk the cauliflower. Tell me what you said about the rice.
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways you can use cauliflower. So, you know, just roasting cauliflower, you break it into florets, or you can chop it into steaks, and you can just roast it in the top rack of your oven, or you could cook it in your Instant Pot, where, you know, the surface is getting kind of nice golden brown because of the heat and a little bit of oil. So, you know, that's the traditional ways of cooking just a big chunk of cauliflower. But you can actually do different things with it. So you can cook it, let it cool down, and then dice it. Just chop it up with your, you know, with your sharpest knife into, you know, the size of something like a rice. And so then, you know, you can season that, you can throw some herbs in, you can do whatever you like to do with rice, and then you can stir fry it. And so I'll do a stir fry where I'll stir fry some vegetables, and you can do that right in the bottom of your Instant Pot. And then you can, you know, throw the rice in, and when it, you know, gets that high heat, you start to get some of that, you know, a little bit of that crunchy texture, a little bit of that kind of rice feel to it. And the same way you can, you know, you can blend it and whip it so that it's got sort of that potato feel. So I've gone to very high end, you know, steak restaurants and so forth, and they'll have a cauliflower mash that's very high end, and you know, people really, you know, they go after and order it.
And what I do is I do a little cheatery. So I go to the frozen food section, and you can also do it. They have it in a lot of the fresh foods as well. They have the fresh bags of riced cauliflower, but I get it like they're all different brands. But you can get the riced cauliflower that's already, like Jolly Green Giant has this riced cauliflower risotto, which is amazing, and there's no cheese in it. And so when you think of risotto, you think of, you know, something a little bit more with the Parmesan and such. But since I can't have cheese, I looked at the label, but it has all of the flavor and has asparagus and mushrooms, and it sautés up really nice. But you can also just get the plain riced cauliflower, thaw it out, cook it up, and just mash it and add all of this to it. And it works perfect. And it's done literally in 15 minutes. It's so simple.
I guarantee you next time I do my cauliflower next week, I'm going to do what he says, because I love stir fry stuff. I really do.
Yeah.
And I thought putting onions in there and my green beans in there. I'm on this squash kick. I love carrots. And just stir it all fry, but I have trouble finding a good healthy sauce to do the stir fry with, other than just buying the stuff that, you know. So that's what we're learning now is this that's out there, what Kim's showing us.
Yeah.
So so a little bit of, you know, tamari or soy sauce. You can get gluten-free soy sauce, low sodium soy sauce. So there's different options there. And one of the things that Kim and I were talking about, she brought a beautiful bottle of balsamic vinegar. And you know, one of the things that I learned, you know, as I cooked more, is that sometimes that secret ingredient that puts it over the top is the acid.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of the vinegar, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of white wine, but that unlocks some of the full flavor profile. So that's just something to keep in mind. So like with stir fry, you could do a little blend of rice wine vinegar, you know, together with the soy sauce. You know, throw a little ginger in there if you want, but yeah, you can very simply bring something together that's a pretty healthy, you know, sort of you know, doesn't have a lot of additives. It's pretty, you know, and it's really tasty.
Yeah, that was really important.
Show us that again, Marcia. She got me on this.
This is liquid smoke. Now there are different kinds. This has no preservatives. It's a special brand. It's Wright's. So the other brand has a lot of stuff in it. It's 100% liquid smoke. They put water and it drips down, and it has no artificial flavors. That has nothing. I sent some to Douglas. It's gluten-free, non-GMO. That and all that's in it is the liquid smoke.
You're just using a touch of it as well. So you don't need much.
Yeah. I also, my faro is done. I want to
Well,
show
let's
you.
see your faro.
One minute.
While you're doing that, I just want to mention that these, I just wonder why people need the butter and need the cream in there, because these are so creamy. And in fact, you don't even need gravy. These are so creamy. And the way he topped it off with a little bit of olive oil and some parsley, it's literally, that is literally mommy.
But
It's
think
really-
about that, Kim. Is so I'm 62, and how many do we have in our group cook with gobs of butter for how many years of our lives? We developed PAD and CAD or whatever, and now all of a sudden we have to learn how to cook healthy. And there's so much out there about this stuff now. People are saying cook healthy with your butter and all of this. So I wake up one day and now I have to learn how to cook again, and it's like.
But the good thing about what we're doing is hopefully you'll be able to still cook some of the things that you really like, with just a little bit of an adjustment, right? We're saying you don't need to get rid of your chicken. You don't need to get rid of your mashed potatoes. You don't need to get rid of your gravy. You just need to modify it. And
That looks beautiful.
Isn't that pretty?
yeah, Marcia, tell us what we have.
It's so healthy. I don't know if I hold it up. So it's just faro. It has some cranberries. It has mushrooms. It has some walnuts. I put olive oil on top of it. It's nice and moist. It's delicious. Oh, I also use garlic powder. You can also use some lemon juice. I'm not a huge lemon lover, but it complements very, very well. Parsley. I also put cinnamon with it. Hmm?
Oh, he was just talking about adding a little acid to it can help lift the flavors.
It makes it pop.
It does. Makes it brighter. And then this is another product I like. You have to kind of use it sparingly. It's called Boom seasoning. It does have salt in it, but a teaspoon or a fourth of a teaspoon has 2% of your daily allowance. And if you're putting it in a dish like this, you're not eating, that much. But again, it's umami or umami. I can never say it.
Umami.
It has the number one ingredient is dried mushroom powder, garlic, onion, tomato, yeast extract, chili peppers. This stuff is so good and it packs so much flavor. I love it.
That's a great suggestion, and that's a product that brings together some of the things that we were cooking here today, right? So
right.
Having that handy on a Tuesday night to just bring a little bit of that flavor profile, and it's made of good things.
Right.
Those are nice to have around.
Yeah.
Well, there is salt in it, so you don't want to go crazy, but it's a powder. It's really dried mushrooms, and you can just get dried mushrooms and crush them.
We had a question about the salt then. Is there a big difference between salt, sea salt, pink salt, all the different salts that are out there?
So there are some differences. This is not one where I know enough of the details that I want to jump into it. But mostly it's about when you're cooking. Some people will just throw a ton in and mix it in, or you can put just a little bit on top. So just a little bit of kosher salt or a little bit of sea salt on top. And sometimes just even the way that you use it, you can get the same amount of salty flavor with probably 1/5 or 1/10 of the sodium if you mixed it all in. So like for example, with our potatoes, I used very little salt in creating it, but the onion and the vegetable stock, which was also low salt, they brought enough of the flavor, a little bit of garlic, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. Just chefs will tell you seasoning is really important.
Yeah.
But that can just be that little complement at the end, not a main ingredient.
I almost think that salt can be a little bit of laziness. And you've had Mrs. Nash, and they use all kinds of different herbs. But I just discovered something that I didn't realize. I've had parsley before, but I've never enjoyed it as much as I just did right now, and noticed that it truly can make all the difference in the world. Having that, I kept wanting, look, I took a spoonful of the parsley in the mashed potatoes. It makes a huge difference in terms of flavor.
Well, it's aromatic because this is combining. There's a texture that's a little bit different, but also as you're eating it, it's got aromatic, sort of flavors that kind of are moving up into your nose. So when we're tasting, it's our tongue, but also our nose and the feel of it. So it's all those together, and so herbs are a really nice way to again pretty easy. Chop, and you're done. But it's an easy way to bring some more flavor.
So learning to put those together then can bring out, instead of having to add salt, learning what you like with mushrooms and onions and all that together actually gives you that taste. You won't have to add salt then.
That's right.
The other thing is you can grow herbs. They're not difficult and they yield so much. I mean, I still have it in the garden. It hasn't frozen yet, but I pulled this. I thought it was going to freeze. I have probably 10 times this outside.
What is it?
Parsley.
Yeah, once you sprinkle some of these herbs in the garden, they grow like weeds. We had mint literally showing up on the other side because the wind blows, right? And birds kind of peck the seeds and carry them elsewhere. We have mint literally all over our backyard as almost weeds.
Mint it travels by tubers. And so if you plant mint, you want to plant it either in a pot or in a pot in the ground because you don't want it to take over your yard. Where parsley won't do that. Parsley won't do that.
Oh,
it does smell so good. But by the way, for the stir fry, throw a little bit of chopped mint into that soy and rice wine vinegar mix. You could put a little bit of pepper in there, a red pepper in there, and you almost start to get kind of a Thai sauce sort of feeling to it.
I always thought that mint that parsley is just something you put on the plate to make it look.
Yeah, as a garnish, right?
Yeah.
Well, curly parsley you do, but flat parsley, this is flat parsley, and this you eat.
So I can put that in my stir fry then.
Yes, it's very good. Kim, I wanted to show you, I know that's not what we're talking about, but I just wanted to show everybody. So I got this at the store today. They sell this with coated in mayonnaise and then a little bit of panko. And I asked them if they would not do mayonnaise and do olive oil. So it does have panko on it, but I don't eat that much bread, so I'm allowed.
Well, and you can also get gluten-free panko. And what is underneath?
Well, they did it for me. They did it for me. So this is ready to go.
I can't see what it is.
And I'm sorry, it's fish. Yeah, I know you can't.
Oh,
let me see. It's a fish, but they coated it. They use mayonnaise. I asked them not to use olive oil, and they did. It has garlic powder. It has a little pepper, parsley, and panko. And what I'm going to do, it is so easy. I'm going to put it. Now I'm only doing one. So I made like a little pan. I don't have to clean anything up. I'm going to stick that fish in here and stick it in the oven at 400 for 12 minutes. And I have fish.
What type of fish?
Hmm?
What type of fish is that?
It's a white fish, which it's not the healthiest as far as fish go. Usually you want like a tuna or salmon, but I really don't like those. And this is better than having a hamburger or a pizza. And so it's cod. It's Atlantic cod and it's fresh.
So they made that for you?
Well, they prepared it. They didn't make the fish. I mean, the fish, they got some in. But they coated it for me. However, I make it all the time without anything on it. And I will sprinkle olive oil on it and do the same without the panko. Just all I do is, where'd it go? I put olive oil. I'll put garlic powder, pepper. It's delicious. It's delicious. So you don't need all that stuff on it.
Ever heard of Tony Chachere's?
No.
It's a Louisiana type.
We could produce it in
not salt. It's a Louisiana stuff like that other stuff you showed me.
Like a sauce?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I use that in my Instapot, and it gives it a good kicking flavor. I kind of like that sometimes.
Is it like what you would have what are chicken wings? Like sauce
Yeah,
like that. Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
filled with butter. Chicken wings, when you get buffalo chicken wings, they're filled with butter. If you make it yourself, probably not. So just check your ingredients.
Well, I'm gonna use your stuff.
Okay. Do you know what panko is? It's like a
No.
bread cracker. I'll show you. But a little bit, if you don't eat much bread, and I do not, a little bit goes a long way. It's a starch. It's not great. It probably turns to sugar. But I don't eat sandwiches. I don't eat rolls. I don't, that's
No, me neither. I'll use lettuce wraps or I'll use cauliflower thins. And that's just cauliflower, egg, and water, basically.
right.
So I'll use cauliflower thins or I'll use these turmeric wraps. So they're turmeric coconut wraps that you can get actually on Amazon. And they're low carb and they with the turmeric in it and coconut meat. And that's all it is. And so I
That sounds
wrap things in it with chicken and
You need-
lettuce and tomato and whatever.
Need to do a whole show about the bread because I eat sandwiches and it's trying to find a
Oh.
good healthy bread.
Well, I can tell you one if you want. This is panko. It's a Japanese breadcrumb. It comes in a box. This is one brand, Sushi Chef. And then inside, it's like drier than a cracker. I'm not really sure. Maybe Kevin can elaborate, but uh-oh. My
It's
knife
a little
just went.
light here. It's a little lighter, but I'd still prefer gluten-free if you're going to use
Yeah,
panko.
I don't use much of it. Douglas, what did you just say? Because I knew about it. Oh,
The bread
bread.
is one of the things that I'm
Yeah.
kind of struggling with
I
eating
use
healthy right
Dave's.
now.
Have you ever heard of Dave's? It's kind of expensive, but if you're not using a lot of bread, which you probably shouldn't be, Dave's has a 21 grain. I think it's 21 grain, and it's thin. They're only 70 calories. Here it is. It's thin sliced, and it is ancient grains. It's organic. 15. This one has 15 whole grains. And so if you're going to have bread, you want something healthy. You don't want to have white Wonder Bread. That's for sure.
No, I
Yeah,
know.
you don't want white processed bread. But
No.
I think that Kevin actually has an alternative. I stay away from bread altogether because it turns into, for me, it just goes straight into sugar. So I can't have it. Too many carbs.
So one of the things that we do a lot is so we'll bake some salmon. Definitely don't overcook salmon. Better to undercook it a little bit. And then we'll put it in these little lettuce wraps, and then just put a little bit of Thai chili sauce on it, some mayploy or whatever, teriyaki, whatever you like on top, and then you can just grab, and it's fun to eat, and it's sort of if you want to run with it, and you're getting your veggies and fiber all at once.
You need to put that recipe out there too. I would love to try that one.
You can do that with Mexican as well, if you like a Mexican flavor.
You want to do it with Bib lettuce. Not all lettuce is equal. I have trouble. So, and I actually will sit there and I'll even cook up chicken and I'll serve my dad and I'll put it in Kevin was talking about how with different people and different, with different diets and such in the family, I make little bowls. So I'll have, I cook up some chicken and I just shred the chicken, put it in a little bowl, shred up a little bit of lettuce, put a little bit of either like a salsa or the Thai chili sauce or, whatever. And I actually chop up a little bit of avocado and put it out as well. Maybe some extra onions. And so my dad can just take a little bit of each and just stick it right in the lettuce wrap, and he can make as many of those as he wants.
Can
That
you use
smells so much
kale?
better. What?
Can you use kale? I tried kale for the
No,
first time.
I wouldn't. Nothing against kale, but no, I personally, you want to ruin it for yourself forever and ever? Yeah, no.
Kale is very hard to get to be nice. The only time I ever use it is I slice it ribbon thin. And it's a little bit of a crunch component. But if you just have a mouthful of kale every bite, like, you know, that, like for me, that's not my favorite. Some, you know, to each their own.
Yeah.
But here's just I did a little bit of extra, you know, kind of heating up and then throwing a little bit of olive oil, and I took a little bit of our chicken sort of fat and integrated into our gravy. So we've got, you know, kind of you can sort of, if you want to thicken your gravy, you can reduce it a little bit more just in a pan, and you know add whatever flavors you like.
I'm gonna have a little bit of that on my mashed potatoes.
You know, something else I did when I started really watching my diet, I found things like thyme. I grow thyme, and you know, one plant has lasted me years. Something else I love is breakfast sausage, and you know, it's horrible for me. But what I discovered is I think what I really like is sage, and sage is in breakfast sausage. So now I use sage and other things, and I get that flavor. I mean, it isn't sausage, and there's no, you know, fat, but you have to trick your brain into finding those flavors that you like and bad things, and eliminating the bad things and put them in something healthy.
There's also a question of proportion. So, you know, instead of having like a big plate of like 5 sausages, if you take one sausage, fine chop it, break it up, and really, you know, extract and get the flavor, you can have just a tiny bit of sausage on something and you get that sausage payoff. But you know, but maybe it's your sage that you brought into your stuffing with farro, but like now it's a really dressed up, you know, dish.
And you feel satisfied to some degree that you're, you know, hey, like you cheated, and you know, you maybe did, but just minuscule.
Just a little bit of sin.
Yeah.
What about
yeah,
like,
level of sin.
like squash? What can you? I just discovered squash. I never would do squash, and now all of a sudden, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Squash is really good for you. And when you roast it, or when you when you're getting high heat with a little bit of oil, you know, it caramelizes, and so you get this beautiful kind of golden brown, you know, just you know, flavor to it. And you know, and just a little bit of that browning really kind of changes it. And you could dress it up with, you know, all the things you do for potatoes. You know, you could have garlic, you know, you can sprinkle a little bit of, you know, if you're not dairy free, a little bit of mozzarella on top, or like, you know, you can play with it to create some new dishes.
And you know what, Douglas, is in the freezer, you can actually get zucchini noodles, and then you can pour your favorite spaghetti sauce over it.
Do what?
Zoodles.
Zucchini noodles.
Yeah.
Zoodles, they call them, I think.
Well, we have to sign off over here. You guys are welcome to stick around. We want to eat a little bit more, and I know that Marsha wants to eat her food. Douglas, you have any more, you know, final questions for us? Anything coming in? I know we have a few people just sitting here. I know Kim's still
trying to
on.
figure out what I'm going to eat. I don't have anything like that here. Nothing. I hate to admit it, but
What are we doing? Are you serious? Do I need to get you another Instacart of groceries, my friend? You're at Angie's place.
I can't do that here, remember? So it's kind of hard.
But if you can get to the grocery and find chips, you could get to the grocery and find a healthier alternative.
Yes, and I think that your brother, I'm going to have some words with Grady, because if you said he's diabetic, we need to improve his diet, or he's going to end up with artery issues as well, very quickly.
Trust me, Angie has that covered completely.
But there's still potato chips right there.
But those are.
Okay,
But you have
no
I'm
choice?
speechless. I'm speechless that we're putting on a show like this. For what? I really am. I'm speechless.
But isn't that the part where
there's no part on that one. I'm getting you an chart of some celery and carrots and cucumbers, and a healthy dip is what I'm going to be doing. But you know, you have to give it credit because
Instacart. That's crazy. I mean, I really don't want an Instacart, but that's just not fair, right? I mean, it's really not. It makes me sad. It makes me sad for you.
But it's it's the reality, you know, across the board. And
Excuse me,
that
but
moment when we get Douglas to come back and, you know, say, hey, I learned a lot from this show. And now I've traded in my potato chips for something a lot healthier. Now I'm making healthier mashed potatoes as a great little snack, or cauliflowered mashed, can you still call it potato?
so I'll say
Cauliflower,
it.
mashed cauliflower.
I'll say it, Kim. That's the reality. How many people do we have in our group that are every day not able to, or that are not eating properly, or that come and go back
Or
and
admin,
forth
host of the show.
Yeah, and so
and learning, and that's part of the reality that we deal with, that you see every day, and that Kim is having to get people to stop eating and stop eating bad and start eating wisely. And it can be a learning process, can it?
for each person, it's different. And if we can inspire, and I know we've made a big difference and you've made huge changes. I've been very proud of you overall for making some major changes. And I love seeing when we got you that Instapot, that, you know, that you going out by yourself and actually experimenting with different, you know, vegetables and things like that, to be pouring in with a little bit of chicken and mushrooms and things like that. And you're even asking about sauteing and making a vegetable saute, a vegetable stir fry. So it is one step at a time. We're always one step away of making different choices, right?
That's it. Bingo.